So I'm thinking chicken. So chicken. I was thinking chicken. Hi chefs, welcome back to She Cooks. I'm Tay. So tonight I'm thinking, wait for it. Here we go. Can you see it? Spinach and mushroom stuffed chicken over pasta Alfredo. This is gonna be delicious. Time to cook. So I wanted to start off with showing you all the ingredients that you guys are going to need for this recipe. And please don't panic, I promise to put all of the ingredients and the measurements in my description box. Absolutely no pressure at all to use fettuccine pasta. You could use whatever pasta you'd like or whatever's in your cabinet. And if those of you are looking for a healthier alternative because you're on keto, zoodles is a great option. Side note, I forgot to show you guys how much Parmesan cheese you're going to need. For this recipe, you are going to need 1.5 cups of Parmesan. Here's all the seasoning that I will be using throughout the entire recipe, not just for the chicken. I know everyone seasons their chicken differently, so I'm just providing some staple seasoning that I use on an everyday basis. But feel free to season your chicken however you'd like, whatever flavor you're going for, do you. This pink Himalayan salt, you can see I'm almost out of it, but I highly recommend it. And then I always use fresh pepper. I got some Italian seasoning, which is also a great option for those who don't really know how to season because there's so many mixes in that particular seasoning. And then here's the game changer right here. You can find this at World Market. It's so good, guys. So I'm first going to start with seasoning my chicken. I always add about a tablespoon of olive oil to raw meat before I season it. Don't ask me why I do that. I don't know if there's a benefit to it, but it's just easier to spread all the seasoning throughout the bowl when you do it that way, so that's just what I do. Again, you can season your chicken breast however you want. I really like pepper, so that's why you probably see me putting a lot of pepper on that chicken, but there's also big chicken breast, so if you are using larger breasts, make sure you season accordingly. You don't want bland chicken. Next up is creating the pocket for the stuffing. So as you can see, I am cutting halfway into the chicken breast and only going about 3/4 of the way in, if that makes sense. You want to just create a nice little pocket, and since I'm using large chicken breasts, I had to create a rather large pocket, but you can kind of get a sense of how much space you need in the chicken breast for your stuffing. So next up is creating the stuffing or filling for the chicken breast. Also make sure you preheat your oven to 400. It should be about ready by the time you're done with this. So as you can see, I'm chopping up some spinach. You could always tear this with your hands if you want. I'm just chopping it up because it looks cooler. When you're prepping your mushroom, make sure you get that mushroom cut to a very small size. I'm not the best at dicing mushrooms, so you can see that I just went for a rustic kind of cut. But it makes it a lot easier when you are mixing the spinach with the cream cheese and the mozzarella cheese. was my bad. I did not mean to put an entire block of cream cheese in there, but you know, I was filming and you can't really go back. I do find a way to make it work later. Just for those of you who are going to try this recipe at home, which I hope you all do, make sure you only use half a block of cream cheese. I have a lot of cream cheese in that stuffing, so I have to cut up some more spinach and mushroom. Fortunately, I had enough in my fridge to add more, but you'll see that it's going to look a lot better once I add more spinach and mushroom. So when you're working with something as rich as cream cheese, you're going to want to have a flavor to offset that richness, so that's why I added a few squeezes of fresh lemon juice. It also pairs great with garlic, which is why I added that to my stuffing. Actually ended up losing a little bit of seasoning as I was stuffing my chicken, so I'm just re-seasoning it before I start to cook it. This was also my opportunity to use that truffle seasoning that I showed you guys at the beginning of my video, but whatever seasoning you guys have, I do recommend just adding a little more before you start to cook. So you can see that it started to brown. It's still very raw in the middle. I couldn't really get closer with my camera, but just know that this is kind of how you want it to look before you transfer it to your pan. Ideally, when you're cooking pasta, you want to use a pasta pot to avoid any undercooked noodles. But unfortunately, I do not own one. So for those of you who also don't own one, just make sure you're checking the pasta frequently and stirring it. Alright, time for this Alfredo sauce. So I'm starting with 1/4 cup of butter and a tablespoon of minced garlic. So I'm going to repeat this step twice. What I do is add half of my chicken stock, half of my heavy cream, a little bit of salt and pepper, and half of my Parmesan cheese, just to avoid any of the cheese clumping. So I've already added all of the necessary ingredients for a basic Alfredo sauce, so really I'm just experimenting now. I had some extra mozzarella from my stuffing, so I decided to add that. I also added a little cream because I thought it was a little salty. Another option you could do is add some pasta water. It's definitely not unheard of to add that to Alfredo sauce. So if you guys choose to experiment with the Alfredo sauce like I did, make sure you test your sauce before you continue to add ingredients. So you'll see me tasting this a few times as I add new things. Now that I have my pasta and sauce mixed together, I'm going to let that sit for a few minutes just to let the flavor seep into the pasta. I told you guys I was going to find a way to use that extra stuffing. So what I did was reduce it down to a liquid in a separate pot, and I also added some dripping from the chicken pan, and y'all, let me tell you, that flavor was just what I was missing. I finally reached a point in the pasta Alfredo where I can let it sit. Off camera, I'm gonna go ahead and plate my food, and I will show you guys the final product. Well, here it is, spinach and mushroom stuffed chicken over pasta Alfredo. I really enjoyed making this recipe. I hope you guys were able to learn something new from it. Let me know what you thought of the recipe in the comments, and until next time, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel.